Up next on America's Horse, wide open spaces, plentiful wildlife, and American quarter horses all come together for a trail ride like no other. We'll visit the world's first national park, Yellowstone. Dr. Marilyn Wegweiser gets nostalgic when she talks about her Western lifestyle. Digging up dirt on the locals, she's mixed profession with pleasure as a horsewoman and geologist, a unique perspective at the land down under. So you think you like to trail ride? Janice Trammell sure does. Just ask her horse, who traveled 17,000 miles last year. Together they trailed and trailered more than anybody else. Learn from their experience as she gives us trail riding tips everybody can use. Next on America's Horse.
America's Horse, the international report on the world's most versatile equine breed, the American Quarter Horse.
Hi, and welcome to America's Horse. I'm Jennifer Reynolds. Each year, riders get the chance to enjoy beautiful scenery, take great rides, and meet interesting people all through the AQHA ride program. The locations cover coast to coast, Europe, and in this instance, a place where riding your horse opens up a whole new world. It was trappers who first started telling the tales of snow-capped mountains, meadows full of elk and bison, and mysterious fountains that spewed boiling water from underground. In 1871, Ferdinand Hayden led an expedition that included artist Thomas Moran and photographer William H. Jackson. Their images helped convince the United States Congress this area needed to be protected and preserved. In 1872, President Ulysses S. Grant signed into law the world's first national park. Today, Yellowstone is enjoyed by millions for its awe-inspiring beauty and one-of-a-kind geography. Dr. Marilyn Wegweiser's lived out here for 2 years and spent almost every day of her life with an American quarter horse. It was her idea to host an AQHA trail ride through the park.
Well, it's a chance to, I used to tell people, Yellowstone National Park, your quarter horse and you. We will ride along Yellowstone Lake, which fills part of the caldera from the volcano, and we'll see an old timber burn. I mean, it's the national park. It's our first national park. And so it's a chance to share that with other people who like horses and like trail riding and get rewarded for it.
Celebrating a milestone is what brought sisters Barbara Murchison and Carol Federick from Texas to this trail ride.
My first trail ride in Yellowstone National Park. My sister, she's been wanting to do this. She's been into Jackson Hole before, and I said when I turned 50 years old I was going to start traveling. So this is my first trip in my 50th year.
Barbara's ridden with her sister, but chose this location for her first extended ride.
I've kind of been riding with her some around her place, so we've gone through some woods and crossed some creeks, so I'm a little nervous. She said we have to cross a couple of creeks, but I think I'll be okay as long as we don't see any bears. That's the scary part.
Then there are Dolph and Tamra Dowdy from Rainier, Oregon. Tamra shows in the reining ring with her horse Such a Superstar, and Dolph also rides. They're here celebrating a milestone as well, their 28th anniversary. Each year it's something different.
Been to Kauai, and
last year we became scuba certified. Well, deep water scuba certified while we were there, and we also did the zip line. We went zipping down a cable down a valley, and so we've done a few exciting things for our anniversaries. And
the reasons vary for each person, but the end result is the same. Everybody here riding this weekend will get to experience a unique and amazing part of the world on horseback. An experience made possible by the AQHA Trail Ride Program. Typically, the weekend begins as people arrive with trailers and horses, although some who don't want to trailer that far or who don't own their own horses rent horses locally. Lodging is arranged at a local camping area, and folks can stay in trailers, tents, or in nearby lodges or hotels. Meals are provided, part of the fees paid for the ride, and evening entertainment varies from storytelling by the campfire to local legends who offer history and culture lessons. Each rider gets a goodie bag before the trail ride that includes a patch, information on trail ride services and awards programs, and usually local ride information and sightseeing opportunities. Once the horses are fed and bedded down, it's time to prepare for the ride. And when we come back, we'll hit the trail and see Yellowstone from the best view around. And up next, we'll show you how dinosaurs and horses make for a great lifestyle when America's Horse returns.
America's Horse is brought to you by Bear Corporation, makers of quality animal health products. American Quarter Horse Journal, the official publication of the American Quarter Horse Association. MBNA America, the official credit card of AQHA. And by FedEx. You can always rely on the ultimate in reliable shipping. Relax, it's FedEx.
Welcome back to America's Horse. AQHA's Yellowstone National Park Trail Ride was put together by Dr. Marilyn Wegweiser. She's a geologist and paleontologist who lives just outside the park. Now, her business, like many others, is very competitive, but with her American Quarter Horse, she has 4 legs up on all the others, thanks to Bitsy.
And it was just like I stopped my horse and looked around, and I was living a dream I had had since I was a child.
Since she was 15 years old, Marilyn has ridden and owned a horse. Her first gelding was a grandson of Poco Bueno, and she showed him in AQHA amateur classes. She also showed a horse by Hollywood Smoke in reining. Now, though, it's days on the trail with Blazin' Bitsy, an 18-year-old mare who's won some money at National Cutting Horse Association events. Together, they ride weekly through the park.
I brought my horse out here in 2003. I've been excavating dinosaurs out here under federal permit since the year 2000. This is like living a dream. If you ever wanted to be the man from Snow River, you get to play the part you always wanted to play in Western movies. You can do it every day. And you can just enjoy your horse and go out, and you can see elk, you can go hunting, you can go fishing. I take my fishing pole on my horse with me. She does my geology with me. She takes me everywhere.
And that's important for Marilyn. As a leading scientist in a competitive field, her love for riding enhances her ability to detect and discover long-ago residents in the park.
You know, I could go in on foot like everybody else, but I really find reasons to have to ride my horse in. I think I'm really fortunate to be able to combine being a geologist and a paleontologist with being able to use my horse to get me in and out. I could hike and do it the same way, but it's just more fulfilling for me. And I get into some places where I normally wouldn't, and I've seen things I normally wouldn't. Because the horse can get me farther, faster, can help me climb in and out on places that it might not be able to do by myself. I can spend a whole day on a horse working my way out to some place that I want to see and then get back.
The work Marilyn does is usually done alone, so having Betsy with her is also a comfort, created by the bond the two enjoy.
That little mare I'm riding right now would die for me if I asked her to. And there's a bonding there that you don't get. You know, she'll follow me anywhere, and we have. We've gone up and down some things that scare me, and I've gotten used to it because I trust her. We trust each other. It's very spiritual to ride in nature like this without people around you and to see nature as undefiled by metropolitan or urban development as you possibly can. You'll see a carcass, but you'll also see the rebirth of life. You'll see a baby. You'll see somebody's cub or fawn, or you'll see the challenge for a mate if you're lucky. It's an experience that I've been very lucky to have.
As ride coordinator for this event, Marilyn is responsible for the whole weekend, riding through Yellowstone National Park on land that is pretty much the same as it was when it was first discovered back in the 19th century. She worked with park staff to find the perfect trails.
We're going to ride through a landscape that is along the edge of the caldera. It will be steaming. There are fumaroles, the little holes in the ground that go down, and there's hot water coming up, and when the water is under pressure, it flashes to steam. we'll ride through an old burn, so we'll see one of the Yellowstone fires, and then we'll ride into some of the volcanic flows from the last eruption of Yellowstone. And then we'll ride to the point and we'll see a very big meadow, and when I was there the other day there were about 200 elk there. And we'll be able to look out the lake and we'll see a mountain they call the Trident, which is part of the thoroughfare. So we'll be able to look up from lunch and we'll see all these mountains that you see around you came into place between 72 million and 38 million years ago.
After 35 years of riding, it's here in Yellowstone where Marilyn has settled with Bitsy. The mountains, the lake, the meadows, and animals all make for the perfect lifestyle for her. Riding a horse that enjoys the view as much as she does makes each day a new experience.
The thrill is always there. It's always new. It's never old. It's never old, and it just feels good. Who was it that said the outside of a horse is good for the inside of a man or woman? It feels good to have that bond. There's just nothing like it.
One of Marilyn's responsibilities is creating geologic maps. She says she doesn't discover where dinosaurs lived. She and Bitsy travel creek beds and find bones and even fragments of skin from where these ancient predators came to rest. We'll continue on the trail and hear firsthand from those who experienced the weekend in Yellowstone when America's Horse returns. Welcome back. The AQHA trail ride through Yellowstone Park was a first visit for many on the trail ride. Expectations were running high the morning. Trailers were packed and horses were hauled. A cool spring morning greeted the riders at breakfast. Overnight camp was located outside the park, so trucks, trailers, and horses were hauled into the 9-mile trailhead where the ride would begin. Barbara Murchison spoke for many on the ride before things got started.
I love the outdoors. Do a lot of camping, a little hunting, water sports, hiking, biking, that kind of thing. When I left Texas, it was 94 degrees and about 85% humidity. So I was wearing t-shirts and shorts. And now I'm layered.
Saddling up and making sure everybody was ready was the first order of business. The ride then began through an area that had been recently hit by a forest fire, and the signs were obvious. Bison lumbered by the trail, but at safe distance, and alert horses made for easy passage by the prehistoric-looking animals. The ride was as picturesque as predicted. Marilyn served as the perfect guide, leading the way and explaining the history of the park, what to look at and look out for, sharing her experiences of riding through and studying a unique location.
This is a pretty good kick in the pants, yes. Yeah, I've got the best place to ride. And for a geologist, there's so much eye candy, you can't find it all.
Dana, Candy, and Colin Magnuson traveled all the way from Indiana for this ride as part of their family vacation.
We've trail rided a couple of years, but this is the first year we've done it seriously. We do it maybe on a weekend or just once or twice a year. But yeah, when there wasn't a horse show, which wasn't that often, so we didn't do much of it. But we saw that AQHA was having one of their trail rides out here, so we thought we'd try and do it. It's a great trip, great trip.
Simply Too Sexy and Simply Hot Honey made the 1,600-mile trip with them. Normally, they'd be spending a weekend in an arena where Colin shows and pleasure classes.
It totally gives them something different to think about. They're a totally different set of experiences that you'll get on the trail than you will in the arena. For your kids, it's great to show. I think it's great to trail ride either way. I think it's personal preference. And we kind of have been using the dartboard theory. We throw the dart and where it hits, that's what we're doing this year. So
Tamra Dowdy, who's celebrating 28 years of marriage to her husband Dolph the day of the ride, also feels good about getting her Rainer out of the arena.
Getting away. We're both very busy people. Trail riding gives us the opportunity to get out on the weekends, get away from home, get away from the cell phones, and just get out and relax with the horses.
Let the horses be a horse. So that's one of the reasons, and get to see beautiful country.
This was the first AQHA trail ride for the Dowdys, but the ride also had a veteran in the group. Janice Trammell was the winner of last year's AQHA Frequent Rider Award, a program that rewards individuals for every 5 trail rides they attend. Last year, she earned a new Tex-10 saddle, and this year she's already accumulating rewards.
It was based on the number of rides you attended, and it's a frequent rider. They give you a passport, you probably got one in your packages, And you get that signed at every ride, and for every 5 rides you go to, you get an award. And the first level is a bridle, then a breast collar, and a big buckle at 15. I haven't got 20 yet. I've gotten 20 rides. I just hadn't sent my stuff in, so I don't know what I'm going to get. And then a saddle, of course, because I went to the most.
Janice and her husband, both retired educators, have traveled across America with her 16-year-old mare Ghost 1 Gray, riding in more than 50 of the 80-plus rides offered by the AQHA last year.
She was just such a sweet horse to ride. I've just enjoyed her. I joined the, what's it called, the ride program where you log your hours, and they sent me information about the trail rides. And I thought, well, that sounds like fun. I might like to do that because he can't ride, so often I'm just riding there at home by myself, and I can ride in the pasture by myself all the time. I thought it might be fun to ride with other adults.
For Janice, Ghost is the perfect companion on the trail.
Just a super trail horse. You could not ask for a nicer horse. She will do anything I ask her to do, even back down mountains like she did yesterday. And she rarely ever gets scared of anything. She is just a real soft, easy horse to ride. She listens to what I tell her to do, and I just wouldn't take anything for her.
The simplicity and variety of the rides are what makes it worthwhile to travel when they can.
Anybody can do it. If you have a horse and a trailer and a wheel to go ride, you can go do this. It's just fun, and you don't have to set your goal to go to every ride that they have. I think there are 87 rides this year, and they're all the way from Canada to the Netherlands and England. And so, if you want a vacation with your horses, this is something anybody could do. A lot of them have rental horses, so you don't even have to be a horse owner to go. And it's just a relaxing time away. From the time you get there, you're going to be treated very nicely. They're going to have everything ready for you, and they're going to make you feel special while you're there. And I just think it's a wonderful thing AQHA has done.
When we asked Janice what her favorite ride has been so far, she thought a minute and said it was probably the Fort Robinson ride from last year, but then she looked around and said the ride in Yellowstone was quickly moving its way up her top 2 list. If your next ride is going to be on the trail, Janice has some tips for traveling and taking care of your horse when America's Horse returns.
America's Horse has been brought to you by Fort Dodge, makers of the official vaccines of AQHA. MB&A America, the official credit card of AQHA. Ford, the best-selling trucks are built Ford Tough. And by Bear Corporation, makers of quality animal health products.
So you've decided an AQHA trail ride is just the thing for you. Well, what do you take? Where do you board your horse? And how do you take care of him on the road? Here's a complete how-to from a veteran trail rider.
Hi, I'm Janice Trammell from Locust Grove, Oklahoma. I was AQHA's top rider last year. I attended 17 rides all over the United States, and I won the saddle. And I just thought you might like to have some tips if you're planning on going on a trail ride.
As with any activity, preparation is the first step in having a safe and rewarding ride.
You need to ride every day, get you both physically fit, make a list for you and your horse, everything that you're going to need. I'd label them horse and I'd label them personal, and everything from tack, feed, water, anything you're going to take. And for you, everything from shampoo, toothpaste, clothing that you're going to want to take, snacks, anything that you're going to need while you're on that trip.
Janice also recommends that before you leave home, you contact your vet or the state where you're visiting for pertinent information.
You need to have your veterinarian check with the ag department of every state that you're going to go through and make sure there are no rules or tests that your horse is going to require that you don't know about. Have your horse up to date on vaccinations, and check if there's anything in the area that you might need, like they told me for this ride to be sure my West Nile was current. Have your horse shod. Most rides need shoes, as you guys saw today.
Traveling with a horse offers its own unique challenges, like where you and your horse can stay.
If it's an overnight trip, you're going to need places to put you and your horse, and you need to know what's available, what is legal to get into with your horse, because some states you can't even unload that horse out of a trailer at a rest stop. Other states will let you stay all night at the rest stop.
There are a number of resources that can be used to find out that information.
by calling the tourism departments for the states. I can recommend that most towns have rodeo grounds, so if you can find those, vet clinics, truck stops with overnight facilities. The KOAs have been very friendly to us. And when you're planning your trip, allow 4 hours for every 200 miles. It really doesn't matter what Rand McNally says, that's what it's going to take you to get there. You need to allow extra time for you if you're going to stop and sightsee, whatever you're going to do. All of that has to be taken into consideration for how many hours you're going to have that horse in that trailer.
And taking care of that horse during a long haul is as important as anything else you do.
We try to stop at least 45 minutes every 4 hours and let her stand. We try to get her out of the trailer at least once every 6 hours for a minimum of 45 minutes. That gives her a chance to move around, rest, go to the bathroom without, feeling like she's confined.
Then there's the list of things you need to take with you on the road.
Your manure fork, a way to move your manure, take lots of trash bags. Many places make you bag that manure, you can't leave it. And if you stop at a rest stop, you don't want to leave it dirty because they might not let the next horse person stop there. If you're going anywhere, always have a current Coggins on your horse, and if you're going out of state, you have to have a health certificate.
So now that you're ready for your trip, what about when you get to your destination?
I always use boots on my horse. That's a personal I like that. That's my personal decision. If you're going to be in really, really, really rocky, jagged terrain, you can put those on the back, and it just protects their coronary band. A little prevention's worth a pound of cure, and I always ride her in boots. I feel like it protects you in so many ways. But I always carry a bottle of water, and if you'll freeze, old pop bottles full of water, you'll have cold water most of your ride. Take your slicker and I bought this because I knew we were going to get a lot of rain today, but I usually just use a straw hat and a hat protector. I take sunscreen, take some snacks, and I always take a rope halter and lead so that I can tie the horse up if we stop.
Janice also recommends packing a small camera, but to pack as light as possible so you can have fun and your horse can enjoy the ride too. Janice hauls her own water on all of her trail rides, and she says only in rare instances does she add electrolytes or sweeteners. She says her best piece of advice is simple: consistency. If you're going to do it on the road, do it at home so your horse doesn't get any surprises. She also says you probably ought to check out the AQHA website, which provides a great list of things to get ready for these trail rides. We're glad you joined us this week. Glad you came along. We'll see you next time on America's Horse.